Welcome to Pet Sitter Confessional, an open and honest discussion about life as a pet sitter. Today, we're brought to you by our friends at Time to Pet and the Peaceful Pet Music, Calm Music for Pets YouTube channel. Being an educator is a major component of what we are as a business owner, and it's something that we can contribute to our community as well as our clients. How do we balance that with our other obligations as a business owner, and how do we walk through that? And so today, I'm really excited to welcome Miguel Rodriguez, owner of City Dog Pack, back on the show. Miguel, I looked, and it's hard to believe that it was back in 2022 whenever we had you on the show last. But this makes... So I'll have links to the previous episodes. People can go back and listen to all three of those. So this makes the four-peat for you. And so super excited to have you back on, Miguel, and touch base with this. For those who are listening and haven't listened to those episodes or aren't familiar with all that you're doing, Miguel, could you please tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
Yes. My name is Miguel. I own a business called City Dog Pack. I do dog boarding, I do dog walking and dog training. I've been doing this for about 15 years now, and this past April made 15 years. I also make online content on Instagram. I write a blog on Substack called Everything Dog, and I'll be getting into YouTube and TikTok sometime soon as well. I've been a boomer lately, and when Instagram changed their algorithm and changed like what they want from content creators, I was kind of like, I don't want to do all that, short form video and editing, but I realized that I probably should.
Well, that is something that comes up a lot. I mean, you've been in business, been doing this for 15 years. How did you work through that process of kind of breaking out of that rut? Because I'm the same thing. I'll go and like try and edit something on our website, and they'll move the button, and then I'm like raging against the clouds all of a sudden because they changed something. So like, how did you work through that process of breaking out of that? Well, I don't want to try that new thing.
Well, I realized like early in my career, I found like a lot of early success on Instagram, and it helped me grow my business big time. And once I kind of stopped getting involved online and creating content like videos and such, I realized that I'm missing out on a lot of opportunities. And I see other people growing, and I have a lot of people that I know that create content online in different topics, and they're constantly telling me, you got to get on TikTok, you got to get on YouTube. And I find that Instagram is a really difficult platform to grow on now. People tend to use it as a way to promote their content on other platforms. So what a lot of people do is they create content on YouTube, and they'll just take clips from that YouTube video and they'll post it onto Instagram to help promote their YouTube page. And I'm realizing what I'm doing now is by just solely posting on Instagram, I'm just not using on online platforms properly. So, I've made that realization recently, so I'm going to switch things up now.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot more interconnectedness than there's ever been. You're right. There's a lot of that shared content. And there's sometimes where I'll see a video and I'll go, wait, I've seen this before. Was it on the same platform, or was it over on Instagram, or was it over somewhere else? And that kind of sharing, it helps it reach different target demographics, and people start seeing it multiple times while they're spending time online.
It's true. And different platforms will give you opportunities to reach different demographics of potential customers and potential viewers. Like, I think the younger crowd we all know uses TikTok. The older crowd probably uses Facebook more. People around that millennial age probably uses Instagram more. So if you could utilize all the platforms, I think that's when you'll be reaching your full potential online. So smart to do that.
And you described yourself as a little bit of a content creator, but a lot of the stuff that you share is very educational. So how do you walk that line between just generating content versus helping teach and educate people?
Yeah. So what I do is the information that I offer online to educate dog owners how to take care of their dog or train their dog or do some behavior modification with their dog is pretty broad. So if you just follow my content, there may be some questions that you may have that aren't answered just by looking at my content. So what I do is I give pretty broad information online. And if someone wants something more specific, that's when they can contact me and have a training session with me online, or if they're in New York City in person. So what I do is I offer broad information online, as you know, and I try to make it as good as possible. I share a lot. Whatever I can share for free, I'll share for free. But the difference is when someone wants information that's specific to them, their situation, and their dog, that's when they have to pay. And what I want to do now is I want to create courses that is very specific. So if I create a course on, say, how to housebreak your dog, I'm going to try to cover any scenario that a dog owner may encounter while they're trying to raise their dog and trying to train their dog in housebreaking. And then what I want to do also is, if you do purchase a piece of like content that I created, or like an online course, maybe like twice a month, I'll offer like a free webinar. So I'll have like a big group of people who can join in and ask me particular questions that perhaps the course can answer for them. So that way I can give them as much value as possible.
Well, and it also saves a lot of time on your end too, right? If you're having to answer questions from 100 people about a very specific thing that needs a lot of context and background information and in-depth knowledge, well, you would spend all day doing that, and people do, but trying to balance that out with, well, I've got other stuff in my life, and you are actually asking, and it comes from a good place from a lot of people of, hey, quick question. What if my dog doesn't like to go into the grass anymore? And you're like, well, gosh, this could be an 8-hour project just trying to figure this out. So I like how you're saying, like, that's where you kind of know that line of, no, you're asking a lot more of me and my time at this point. That is valuable, and that does need to be compensated in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, so that's because some people do tell me, you probably offer a little bit too much information for free, but I disagree, because the thing is, people don't have much time. People are so busy today. So I may have someone who DMs me on Instagram and asks me a question, and what I'll do is I'll probably send them a link to an article that I wrote on that particular topic. And it doesn't take me any time. It takes me like 2 minutes just to send them a link. But then if they want more of my time after that, then I have to charge, because time is the one, and I'm getting older now. I'm 42 now. As I get older, I realize how valuable time is, and you don't get time back. So for me to just offer my time for free all the time, it's just not worth it.
Where did this all start for you, Miguel, as far as being an educator, answering people's questions? Was this something that you like sought out of wanting to do, or did people start naturally coming to you based off of the other content that you were creating?
I think it comes natural to me. I grew up in a family of teachers. My mom was a teacher. I grew up with 5 sisters. Some of them were teachers as well. I also was in the Marine Corps for 6 years as well. And in that time, I used to love to teach like newer Marines some of the knowledge that I knew. And I enjoy teaching. I like to teach people. I like to see whenever the light bulb lights up in their head and they realize that they've learned something that they didn't know before. Like, for example, if someone's asking me a question about their dog, and I'm sharing information with them, and they're just kind of taking it in, and I'll offer that little nugget that I can see that, oh, I need to give that a try. I never tried that. And when that happens, it's very rewarding. And when I get an email or a DM or some kind of message online from a dog owner who I was able to help without even working with them professionally as a client, I love that. It makes my day.
It's a lot of personal satisfaction of just seeing people, living their best life, and because you also know there's just a lot of bad information out there too. So it kind of sounds like, oh, great, I have an opportunity to correct this misunderstanding. I have to I can't not let this pass by, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of great information online too regarding like caring for your dog or training your dog. There's some bad information too. So what I like to do is bridge that gap and help customers realize what's true and what's not true, and also what applies to them in their particular situation. Because again, as a dog owner, I empathize with them. They get this new dog, and sometimes they can have a really like tough puppy to raise, and they feel completely confused. Like, I don't even know how to like take care of this dog. I don't even know how to like train the dog. And if I can help them, it feels great. I like it a lot.
We mentioned that knowledge. You've been at this for many years. From your perspective, are you seeing pet owners being more informed, or talk about that gap of knowledge that you mentioned of trying to help bridge?
Yeah. I definitely think dog owners are more informed now than they were, say, about 10 years ago. In fact, a lot of times I get a new customer that hires me for, say, dog training. And before I start working with a dog, I'll have a consultation with them and I'll ask them a bunch of questions, try to figure out what they know, like what's their level of understanding. And I'm pretty impressed. Sometimes I ask them, have you worked with a dog trainer already? And they say, no, I just looked online. I found this information. But sometimes, they're still a little bit confused on something. And I'll just tell them, just add this, maybe subtract this. And just a few little adjustments can make a huge difference in their dog training.
Well, or like you said, it's that individualized or personalized a program that you're able to put together and help them of going, okay, you've got the general gist of what's going on here, but for your particular dog, for where you specifically live and what your particular goals are, here's how we apply that. And that really is where that value comes into their life. Of you can't get that kind of specificity online. Like, you have to be talking to an expert at that point.
Exactly. Because, for example, what happens very often is I'll have a dog owner that has, say, an Australian Shepherd that's super high energy, super high drive, but then they have a lot of friends and family members that have like little golden doodles that are very like calm and submissive. And what they do is they try to apply the same training and the same like maintenance to their like high energy dog that their friends apply to their little golden doodles. And they realize they're having a really difficult time. What I explain to them is that, you have a different dog from them, and different dogs require different types of care and maintenance and training as well.
Yeah. You've mentioned several times about trying to make sure you're giving value at every level. And I think that is another distinction of the difference between just a content creator versus an educator is there's help, right? There's value, there's information there. One of the blogs that I love that you did, it was, what was it? It was, so your dog hates your boyfriend, now what? Like I love the specificity of this. And, where do you go for these ideas of writing these things and putting that stuff out there?
My customers, I've been doing this for 15 years and I've worked with hundreds, if not 1,000 different customers and couples and also because I'm always online, I get a lot of DMs from people asking like these strange questions that are not very strange because I know so many other people who have asked me the same question. So when there's a common question that I'm getting, or there's a scenario that I see a lot of people struggling with their dog, I always figure, let me write something on this, or let me make a video, because I know this will help a lot of people. And something that, like a piece of content like that, like my dog hates my boyfriend, what do I do? It seems silly and it seems funny, but then I get so many comments and people say, oh my God, I was going through the same thing. I didn't know what to do. And, I tried what you told me to do and it worked so well. So it helps.
Nah. Well, and I think it's a reminder of just sometimes we can think of, well, obviously, but we'll do the same thing. We'll look to write a blog or we'll put something together in an email I'm going to send to my clients. And it's like, well, surely no one else has had this because it's only come up one time. But I think the beauty of saying, no, I can make this as hyper specific as possible because it's going to really, really help that person or those couple people who come across this. And then it also gives you ways to mine, different information and apply it to different scenarios. And so you kind of keep that content, to keep that ideas and things coming instead of kind of reaching that block of like, well, I wrote just one generic article about relationships and now I'm done. It's like, no, it's like, okay, here's all these individual steps.
Yeah, because when it comes to like you have a dog, it's like a lifestyle being a dog owner. I mean, there's certain things that dog owners go through that people who are non-dog owners go through. Like handling significant others. Like if you have a dog and you date someone who comes from, say, a culture where they don't like having dogs in the house, like how do you handle that? How do you deal with that? If you're not a dog owner, you don't have to worry about those type of things. So I try to create content that's not only about like taking care of your dog and maintaining and training your dog. It's about anything that a dog owner may encounter in life in general.
I love that the lifestyle of, okay, I've got a dog owner. What are the problems that they're going to encounter, not just right now and not just around training, but around all sorts of scenarios and situations. And the more specific it gets, like, again, the more helpful it is and the more easier it's to find by that person actually looking for it. Because that's what they're typing in, right? They're typing in, dog doesn't like my boyfriend, help, right? That kind of stuff. And boom, that information's right there for them if you're making that.
Yeah, and when people, the thing is that when those situations come up, it's not people asking me, hey, my dog hates my boyfriend. What do I do, Miguel? I need help with that. What happens is I'm usually helping a customer with something else. And then as I'm getting to know them when we're having conversations while I'm helping their dog, that'll come up. They'll say, oh, so Charlie, my dog Charlie, he's walking a lot better on the leash. Which is great. But now I'm dating this guy I like a lot, and they just, my boyfriend's afraid of my dog. So then I think, oh, really? Are you going through that? And I'll start asking them questions, and then I'll notice other people going through the same thing, and that's when I say, let me just write a blog. Yeah. Like, for example, one of the most popular blogs that I wrote was about how being a dog owner can make you a better parent. And so many people love that blog that I wrote. And because I learned so much on how to be a dad from raising dogs and helping other people raise their dogs for so many years. And I applied some of that to my daughter. It's funny.
Not the sit stay stuff. But I think but
that too.
Anyway, but no. But it's pulling from those life circumstances and those lessons. I think that also gives it things that genuine feel. In a world awash with AI garbage, that kind of thing is so important and critical.
That's true. Yeah, and I never even thought about that.
Because people it's so human, it's so relatable that it's not just this bland text or whatever that has no connection to anything outside of that. And that's what people are looking for. And in the world of AI versus human generated content, when we find those kind of topics of how being a pet owner helps, prepares you to be a parent, that is something that really connects with people, and they find a lot of value in that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because AI right now is just, it's being imposed in our lives so much, and people use GPT, or whatever it's called. People use that for everything now. And I think that, maybe somewhere down the road, AI can catch up to us when it comes to those small details. But right now, I think there's certain things and certain questions that we have about life and even about like raising dogs that ChatGPT and AI just can't compare to like real life experience.
Yeah.
At least for now, I have no idea where that thing is going. It's kind of scary.
Yeah. Well, I think we just have to understand, what are we trying to provide? Are we trying to provide information or value? Are we trying to help with specific situations? Like, where do we fit in? And I know when we sit down to like write blogs or put together emails, I always have to ask, like, is this just a general purpose information article that 1,000 other people are probably going to want to write? And like, how is this actually helping my clients with their problems? And really pulling from that. And then once you have that, like you already mentioned, Miguel, when that problem comes up again, you get a new client and they say, hey, I have help. I need help with my dog adjusting to my new boyfriend. You go, hey, I'll send you a link really quick because I already wrote that. And then it helps that process of building trust with those clients, just accelerates that time over time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And as far as business too, like when it comes to hiring someone to take care of your dog, it's very personal. Like, we see our dogs as a member of our families. So when I write content like that, it shares with my potential customers, like me as a person, who I am. And it does start to build trust before they even start working with me. There's some people who, they read all my blogs, they see all the videos I post and the pictures that I post, and they consume all the information that I've offered for free. And by the time we have a consultation, it's like if they already know me before I even like get to know them, which is good for a customer that's seeking someone to take care of their dog. There's a lot of trust involved in that, and it kind of like helps me share with them like who I am as a person.
How do you stay fresh in those situations? I mean, I'm sure you encounter the same problem with different clients over and over and over. It would be easy for some people to become kind of jaded and come across as condescending or frustrated when somebody asks that same question again. How do you make sure that you don't, how you're educating without being condescending or overwhelming them with all the information and knowledge that you have?
I just try to put myself in their shoes and I empathize with them because, like I said before, sometimes you could have a well-intentioned dog owner who really loves their dog, but is going through a really hard time, managing and taking care of their dog, and the dog is getting into a lot of trouble. So even though I've been through that situation thousands of times, I realize this customer doesn't have my experience. So I got to put myself in their shoes, empathize with them, and share with them my knowledge because they're coming to me for help. So even if it's a question that seems redundant that I've answered thousands of times, not for them. Like, my experience isn't there. So I try to put myself in their shoes to help them. And then when I see that they become more confident with managing and training their dog, that's rewarding for me. So I just try to empathize with them. I listen to them. And then I offer advice. And when I offer my advice, I don't offer it as this is, the gospel truth and you just have to listen to everything I say. What I say to them, like from my experience, 15 years of experience, everything that I've, the dog training schools that I've went to, the seminars I went to, I think with your particular situation, this is what will help you the most. And I don't put any pressure on them to listen to me. I say to them, this is my information. This is what I recommend you do. If you're uncomfortable with any of this, that's fine. Go find yourself a dog trainer that maybe matches what you want more. And if that doesn't work out, you can always come back to me. So, and sometimes they do that. Sometimes they do go to another trainer and they come back to me. And when they come back to me, I'm not like, see, I told you. It's just like, all right, you try that. Now let's get to work and let's figure this out together.
Have you heard of Time to Pet? Chrisanne from Raining Cats and Dogs has this to say.
Becoming a Time to Pet client has been a game changer for us. We can give our pet services clients real-time, cloud-based information they never imagined they'd be interested in. And most importantly, to me personally, I can better manage my company and look forward to more. And not a small thing, Time to Pet is responsive to my requests for new features and modifications to existing ones.
If you're looking for new pet sitting software, give Time to Pet a try. Listeners of our show will save 50% off your first 3 months by visiting timetopet.com/confessional. Well, it's kind of like, things are low-hanging fruit for a reason. They're common problems that everybody encounters, and that's the entryway into us being able to help them. And so we shouldn't be offended when they ask, well, how, what's the leash reactivity, or why doesn't my dog, bolt outdoors, or why are they afraid of, how do I, okay, yeah, a lot of people do that. But then it's our job, your job, to come alongside and help lift them up to the higher and higher fruit as they encounter more and more problems. Encourage them to be lifelong learners, because if we kind of squelch that at the beginning, that's not going to be a dog owner who goes to the next level or who's going to ask more advanced questions. They're just going to think, well, I don't know. Well, anyway, I guess this is just the way it has to be, and I'll just go live with, by myself on this. And we don't want that, right? We want well-educated and continuing educated dog owners for the lifetime of their pet, and then their next pet, and then their next pet, and being a gateway and helping them through that. What a wonderful job to have.
Yeah, I have some customers who I started working with year one, and they had an issue with the first dog that they had. And, after 15 years, maybe that dog has passed on, and they applied the same knowledge that I shared with them with their first dog onto their second dog. And then they'll have a family member or a friend that's struggling with something that I helped them with, and they can share that knowledge. So it causes this cascading effect that helps them throughout their entire life with dogs and the people in their lives as well. And I do find that many dog owners, when they ask questions for some kind of pet professional, because it's a dog trainer, a dog boarder, they do tell me I talked to this other dog trainer. He just seemed frustrated when I was asking him questions. If I felt like I was asking stupid questions. And I have met dog trainers that do get kind of impatient with dog owners, but I try to explain to them, they don't know what you know, and that's your job to educate them. So how are you getting upset and frustrated with someone that's coming to you for help when that's your job to help them?
Yeah, I've encountered that in outside the industry as well, of the people who are kind of almost like gatekeepers or so of the knowledge, right? Of they determine who gets to come in and who's worthy of that information, and if you don't already know it, that's kind of your own fault. And it's No, it's my first day. What do you expect? What do you expect of me? I don't know this information. And how isolating for that pet owner. And again, if you cut them off there, you're cutting them off from access to a lot of other information and a lifelong journey of just of learning more about their pet, strengthening that bond over its life, and really just kind of relegating them to a kind of shoulder shrug. And we should want more for all of the people who reach out to us.
Yeah, it's true. And that's how you build relationships. And, and that's how you build a big customer base, because then they'll tell other people, hey, this guy, you can ask him whatever question you want. He has a lot of patience. He'll explain to you in detail, like what exactly you need. And that's how you build a business. But I think some people in the pet industry kind of get burnt out sometimes, and they start to become a little jaded, and they can kind of like take it out on their customers. But I guess we've all been through that.
Yeah, well, that comes and goes, right? That have certain seasons of being overwhelmed ourselves, and it feeds right back into, before I should be helping anybody else, I have to make sure that I'm personally okay first and foremost, right? Like if I'm already on edge, jacked to 11 because I've been frustrated, I'm not sleeping well, I'm burning both ends of the candle, insert whatever metaphors else you want here to explain this part, and then somebody comes and asks me a question that I've answered 1,000 times. I'm going to be spicy and react, but that's not, we shouldn't want that for people. So before we put ourselves in that situation, make sure that we're taken care of first.
Yeah. And when it comes to someone who is not seeking to be a customer, but they just want some help or they have a particular question.
Yeah.
I think that if in any industry, not just like dog training or like dog care, if you contact or DM someone, some kind of professional in any field on a particular piece of on a particular topic, you should at least scroll through their content and see if they've already offered information on that topic, so that you're not just imposing on their time. So if I know there's a particular, say on like leash reactivity, I've made so many pieces of content on that. And if I know that you've been following me, or you tell me you've been following me for a long time, you should at least kind of do some research on your own before you ask me a question. But even then, if you just ask me a question, I'll just send you the link. And if you don't want to like read a 10-minute blog that I wrote about it, and then you want to like ask me another question, and that's when I'll say, okay, you can either pay me and we can have a session, or you can read this blog.
Right. Well, you've talked about blog, online, video, you're getting into YouTube and you're getting into TikTok. What's your process like for knowing what information to share across what medium and in what format?
Well, I'm doing something new now. So what I'll do is I'll just have, because I have so many dog training clients, I try to first make content on certain topics that a lot of dog owners struggle with. So a lot of dog owners struggle with separation anxiety in their dogs. So I'll make sure to make like a good video on that, and also a blog as well. So what I usually do is I like to write. Like I articulate my thoughts much better when I write than when I speak. So it always starts with a blog for me, or like some kind of article that I would write. And then off of that article or that blog, I'll then create a video. And then from that video, that long form video that's about 10 to 15 minutes long, then I'll take snippets of that big video, and I'll just post like small Instagram reels on my Instagram. So it always starts with writing, and then I'll make videos. And then what I also like to do is I like to offer free webinars. So I'll do a free webinar on a particular topic. I'll have like 20 people in the room with me. And hopefully these people have already watched the video that I've made on that topic or read a couple blogs. So they're already kind of educated. And then if I have 20 people in a room, one person may ask a good question on something that I didn't cover in my content, and that may help like 5 other people in that room. Yeah, so that's what I like to do. It starts with something I wrote, and then I'll turn that into a video. I'll turn that into small clips. And then I'll use all that information to share with my customers in a webinar that I'll offer.
I love that flow, because it's the same questions, it's the same information, but you have to have a starting point. And if somebody's listening to this and writing's not their thing, well, you may do the video and then pull a transcript from that and edit that into a blog to share, or you do start with the writing and then you can divvy up that content into various aspects. And all along you're catching people in different places in their lives. You're putting it in different avenues and areas across the internet, and you're also helping different kinds of learners too. That's what I love about that too, Miguel. It's not just blogs, it's not just videos, it's both. And so you can have people who are more visual learners versus reading. Like it helps so many different people in various aspects and attracts them to you.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you touch up on different demographics. Some people don't like to read very much. Some people like video. Some people like one-on-one chats, but that's what the webinar's for. So I try to hit all of them.
Was there at any point, Miguel, where you recognized your value, the value that you had in your knowledge? Because I know that is something that a lot of people struggle with. What value does my information have? I mean, was there ever a point where you realized that, or was that kind of something that you held proud the whole time?
I still suffer from imposter syndrome, and I've talked to other people who found success in their respective fields, and they go through that as well. They feel like, do I really know a lot about this? Should I even be charging for this? But when I see my customers struggling hard with their dog and I offer them some advice, I'll take the dog into my home and I'll work with the dog for a while. And I see them put it together and they're so much less stressed. Once I start to see that happening quite often, then I realize I got something going here. I can really help people. And of course, I always stay humble, because this industry will humble you. You'll come across a dog that's like, I don't know if I can help this dog, or a customer is very difficult to communicate with, and I don't know how to help this customer. But I do realize I have helped a lot of people throughout the years, and I do have information that can help people. So that gives me some confidence.
Yeah, it's looking back at your history too, right? That's what that is. It's going, no, I have helped people. I have helped dogs, and here's this example and this example. And too often, I know I tend to focus on all the failures, right? The things that didn't work out, all the bad stuff, and the success. It's like, oh, cool. Anyway, on to the next thing that I didn't win at. And instead, sometimes it's like, no, I've got to write this down, because I know in another month, I'm not going to remember this. And so something as simple as that of going, no, I helped this client. Here was their journey. Look at this review. And looking back to that, and those sounds like in those times of doubt, and reminding yourself, and then being present too of, no, what I'm doing actually is working here and now for the client and the pet in front of me.
Yeah, but I think it's a good thing also too. You don't want to focus too much on the failures, but it is important to recognize those failures and to realize that you're not infallible, that you do make mistakes, and there are things that you should still learn. Because if you have the mindset that you're just awesome and you know everything, you're not going to learn anymore. That's when your learning stops, and that's when you put a cap on how much you can help people. But if you're a person that you do recognize your failures and things you need to work on, that's just because you're a self-aware person. And unfortunately, today, not many people are self-aware, and they just think they're perfect.
Yep, those failures, or those learning opportunities, as we'll phrase them, they definitely do help remind you of, I don't know everything, I don't know all things, and I need to continue to work hard to try to learn more and try something again, experiment, and be open to that. And you're right, if we focus too much on the failures, whether that's in the training that we tried to work with a client, or the whatever, the boarding that we were doing, or the content that we were trying to make, and it didn't fit, it fell flat. If we just focus on that, all of a sudden we become discouraged and we don't try again. And instead going, well, okay, that didn't work, so I'll try one more thing. And that kind of is just the general life of an entrepreneur and business owner. I've personally found we kind of have this unquenchable optimism of, well, I'll just try this one more time. I'll try something else. And that's the same process here.
Yeah. And what also helps you realize that the knowledge you have is valuable and it can help people is by watching other content creators in the same field. I've seen some content creators that are very successful, have huge followings, and I listen to their advice. I'm like, there's a lot of holes in that I think I can fill. And, you don't want to compare yourself with others too much, but start to realize this person found a lot of success. And, when I was coming up in New York City as a dog trainer, no one knew who I was at first. And there were other dog trainers in New York City that were like kind of like semi-famous. They were on Animal Planet. And I had some of their clients, former clients, coming to me for help. And I was able to fix something that other dog trainer wasn't able to fix. And I started to kind of believe myself. And I started to think that I can hang with these other people and I can help dog owners who have worked with other dog trainers and didn't get the help that they needed. So that helped me build my confidence as well.
If someone's listening to this and they're kind of inspired to start monetizing their knowledge and information, what advice would you give to them who want to go down that road without feeling like they're, selling out or, just quit, going, oh, well, I'm out of this for money now instead of just my passion?
It's a good question. What I've learned through the years of being in business is that people want to give you their money if you can help them. And think about it like yourself. Like you may have hired someone to do work in your house. Like say for example, you mentioned to me earlier, we were chatting that the AC doesn't work very good in your home because you have like 100-year-old home.
Yeah.
If you hired someone to come fix the AC and they fixed it to where like it works perfectly, that's such a huge relief. And then when you pay them, of course, if it's a reasonable price, you want to give them your money and you're happy to give them because it's an enjoyable experience when you have a problem that you can't fix on your own and you hire someone else to help you and you fix that problem. It's an enjoyable exchange. And I enjoy, like, I see paying people for services and goods as a token of appreciation. So when someone helps me with an issue that I have, like I want to pay them. I want to and that's the money that I'm giving them is a thank you for helping me with this. And people like that. So if you have a particular skill or knowledge on a particular topic that can help people, don't feel bad to charge for it because they want to give you their money. With that said, I grew up with a very humble background. I grew up very poor. So sometimes I'll have a client that's asking me for all kinds of services. They're asking me for really long dog boarding stays. I'm training their dog. I'm also walking their dog. And when I send them their invoice, it could be a pretty big invoice. And I kind of send it in. And when I hit send, I'm like, oh, like that hurts to spend all that money on me. Like I kind of feel bad. But, they wouldn't keep coming to you for services if they didn't want it. So, and also, life is hard and things are expensive. And, we have families that we need to take care of, and everyone needs money to take care of their family. So, I see it that way.
Yeah. Well, it all that circles around our heart and our attitude towards it, right? Like you're right. Like when people fix our AC, thank you very much. You have made my life so much more enjoyable. We recently talked to somebody who was going to redo our deck, and it's because, well, man, I've wanted to spend a lot more time on our deck, and it's just not a nice deck. And so this is wonderful. Now we're going to have an opportunity to spend a lot more evenings outside as family together and dinner and having friends over. And yes, that is money I want to spend, and I know who to give it to now. And same thing with our services or with our knowledge, right? When we're sharing that, we're connecting with the people who need it, who want it. And if we are putting out there and we know it's valuable and we know it's helping people, part of that value returned to us is that money that comes back. And that is, it's part of that value exchange of I helped you solve a problem. And not that, and now there's money that comes back to me for helping you with that and being able to put your head to bed at night going, yeah, it was amazing content. I didn't skimp on anything. I didn't, obfuscate or lie. Like it was really amazing, well-researched stuff. That's the kind of content that we're talking about here. And I know that you put out there too, Miguel.
Yeah. And also if you're feeling kind of guilty to charge people money for your services or your knowledge or your time, if you have the mindset that it's my duty to do the best for my customers, to offer them the best product and services for the best price possible. And when you go home at the end of the night and you lay your head on your pillow and you're exhausted because you really gave it your all, then you don't feel guilty because I'm really trying my best to offer the best care for these people's dogs. I'm putting in the time to help them fix their problems with training their dogs. Or, when I take the dogs on a walk, instead of just sitting somewhere with their dog and just being lazy, if I'm working hard to give them a nice solid walk and they're going home nice and tired, so that their owners come home from work and the dog is sleeping on the couch, nice and relaxed, I know that I did my best. So if you see it as a duty to do the best for your customers and the dogs that you care for, then don't feel bad. Charge.
Right. And it's even if it comes naturally to you, right? Like even if you're really good at that, even if it's super easy and it's like, we don't feel like it's a lot of effort. It's what the client gets on the back end. It's what the client receives and the outcome that they get that we're focused on.
Yeah, it's true. Cause like say if you make a course on like how to take care of your dog, you work really hard in creating that course. And after you've done the work in creating that course, it doesn't require any work for you to, email it to someone that purchases it. But you know that you worked your butt off to make sure that course offers as much information as possible. And, when you know that, then you'll feel confident to charge people.
As pet care professionals, we know that some pets struggle with anxiety, whether it's thunderstorms, fireworks, or just being home alone. But did you know that calming music can actually help them relax? That's why so many pet pros turn to peaceful pet music, calm music for pets, on YouTube. This channel is packed with soothing melodies and nature sounds designed to create a peaceful environment for pets. Sitters and walkers use it during visits to help calm anxious pets, and it's perfect for your own furry companions too. Want to help out your clients? Share the channel with them or just start playing it on their TV when you leave. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a moment of calm. Miguel, I know you talked about how you're doing several new initiatives with courses and different content creations. I know, with your own, business and personal life and all this stuff. How, from your perspective, what is balance looking like for you? And I guess really, over the last 14 years, how has that changed?
Yeah. So, I would say prior to about 2020, when the pandemic hit, and you and I, we talked a lot around that time. It seems like the world was a different place just 5 years ago. But prior to 2020, my business was growing out of control. I had a large team of dog walkers. We had so many dogs we were walking every day. I had a lot of dog training customers. I was also doing dog boarding a lot, and I was burnt out. I was exhausted. And I was always trying to figure out the work-life balance and how to achieve that. And I would try to read books on it and find content online on how to achieve that work-life balance. But I came to the conclusion that work-life balance as an entrepreneur is a myth. And what I've come to terms is that there are going to be certain times where there isn't going to be a balance, that I'm just going to have to just work my butt off all day for a period of time. Say for the holidays, for example, we're extremely busy for the holidays. And everyone that knows me very well, my family members and friends, they know that Miguel, the month of December, don't really plan anything with me. I'm not going to be very responsive to anything. And my daughter knows that daddy's going to be really busy around that time. So there is going to be a balance at that time. So on particular seasons and times of the year that is not very busy, then that's when I can find more time for my hobbies, for my friends, significant others, my daughter. So I just come to terms that there are going to be certain times that there's going to be an imbalance, and I'm okay with that. But just understand that that's going to be a short period of time. And once that time passes, then that's when I'll be able to pay attention to other things. So for me, it's just coming to terms with the fact that sometimes there is going to be a balance and sometimes there is going to be a balance, and just be okay with that.
And that just because I'm not able to dedicate equal time during the day doesn't mean that those other things aren't still a priority. And I think that's what's really important to really focus on there. Of time does not equal priority in this case here, of saying, no, I do have to spend this time because this is my busy time and I'm going to be focused on these things. But you are still a priority, especially, I'm just thinking our kids, right? There are days where, we're working a lot and that just happens. And we do that for them and they know that. And it's part of this. Then there are the slow times where now you have days, right? It's days and weeks during the slow times. And that's kind of the balance of that we find, and still recognizing though that those priorities are central to all of that.
Yeah. And family and close friends, they know, they see you, they see you working hard and they see what you're going through. So they can empathize with you and they'll understand that you can't give them, your full time for that particular time period. So that, it's the people that don't know you very well and like new customers. Say, for example, when I have new customers that acquire my services around the holidays, I send them an email saying like, can we circle back like after, say, the new year? Because at that time I'll have a lot more time to service you to the standard that I want to help my customers. Because I could squeeze you in right now, but I'm not going to be like available to you as much as you would like me to be. So I'd rather just wait just a few weeks. So the ability to say no, like sometimes you do have to say no to customers, or you do have to say no to people who ask questions and stuff like that. But if you explain to them why, I find that you won't disappoint people too much. Because when I first started my business, I wouldn't say no to anybody. But what I learned is that when you have a very busy schedule where every minute is accounted for throughout the day, if you say yes to something, you're going to say no to something else. And I've learned that. So sometimes it's okay to say no. Explain yourself, though, why you're saying no. So if you say no to a customer and you explain to them why, they usually tend to understand. And then they'll realize, too, like that does cause some perceived value, because they figure, this guy's very busy. That means a lot of people are looking for his services. That means he's probably legit. So I probably do want to wait a few weeks to work with him.
It's worth it. It's worth it, isn't it? Yeah. As long as you're explaining, you're not just kind of waving them away. I'm like, no, I don't have time for you.
Exactly.
You talked about that, you struggle with that in the beginning of saying no. I know a big part of that, I know that I still struggle with is I feel guilty saying no to those things. No to the client, no to the, the personal invite that somebody, friends, dinner or something, having to say no to that. Any advice for helping work through that guilt that sometimes we carry of having to say no to those things?
Well, just know why you're saying no. Because if you're saying no because you're being lazy, then you should feel bad about that. But if you legitimately just don't have the time for it, don't feel bad. I mean, we only have 24 hours in a day, and there's only so much we can squeeze in. And there were times, especially in the beginning of my business, where I would say yes to everything, and then I would notice that it started to compromise the quality of service I was offering to my longtime customers, and also compromise the quality of service I was able to provide to that customer I said yes to, because I was just so busy and so in over my head for all the work that I had on my plate that I wasn't able to offer that service that I want to offer. So don't feel bad. Sometimes you have to say no to people. You can't say, and if you realize that when you say yes to something, you're always going to end up saying no to something else, and that makes you feel less guilty.
Well, and those change too for why we say yes and no over time too. I know we used to offer in-home boarding very early on, and as our kids got older, all of a sudden it was like, for us, we went, no, this isn't something we want to offer anymore. Our kids need a home, and we need a place that we can go have a retreat and not have dogs around us 24/7. And when we said no to people, it was really easy for us at that point to understand why we were saying no. Nope, I'm saying no because I need family time. No, that's it. Like I can't do this. I need family time. We're out call only right now so that we can focus on our family and be together. And 10 years ago, that wasn't the case. We weren't saying no because we wanted the family. Megan and I were together all the time. We were happy. It was great. Mm-hmm. And now our priorities have been rearranged, and now we've sought out and changed our business to meet that different balance. And that's part of that process too. Of I can change things to meet my own personal needs. What a novel idea! I just
Yeah. And also, you may say no to a customer on a particular request, but you can offer them something alternative. For example, sometimes I'll have people who would tell me, "Hey, I have this dog. He's a German Shepherd. He's a great dog, but he doesn't get along with other dogs. And I'm going on vacation this week. I was wondering if you could stay with him." And I look at my schedule and I realize I have 4 other dogs I'm staying with. And I'll explain to him, I'll say, "Hey, I can't stay with your dog because he's not well socialized with other dogs, and that puts my dog's in danger, and it may put your dog in danger as well. So I'm just trying to look out for the safety for all my dogs, but I will offer you this. How about we work together for a while for dog training, and maybe I can help you socialize your dog better. Maybe your dog can join me and my pack on pack walks so he can start to become socialized with them, get used to them. And then we'll see in the future if I can stay with your dog." I've had that situation come up a lot. So as long as you try hard to help people, you may not be able to say yes to their particular request, but you try hard to help them. That'll help, mitigate some of that guilt that you may feel. And also, I think it's really important, especially in this business, to have some policies that you actually write down. So I have dog boarding policies, I have dog walking policies, and I have dog training policies. And whenever I have a consultation with someone before I take them on as a customer, I send that over to them and I have them confirm that they've read it, so they understand this is how I do this. And those policies, when you write them up, it takes years for you to figure out what exactly you're going to add there, because things come up as you work with dogs. Like, there may be a situation where you charge your customers after the service has been rendered. But what was happening with me a couple of times is I'll have people who would request a 2-week long stay, and then I drop off their dog, and then I haven't received a payment, and I'm sending emails, I haven't received payment. And then I realize they moved, and you get ripped off a couple of times. You get ripped off, and they say, all right, so now my policy is that, you pay for the service at the time you request it. So it just gets rid of that situation altogether. Or if, you used to, let's say, I never really boarded dogs that were aggressive towards other dogs. But let's say if I did, and there was an incident that occurred, then now I know I can't stay with dogs like this, because it presents a danger to the dogs I take care of. Yeah. So it's really important to have certain policies written down and share that with your customers, so they know right off the bat what to expect out of you and how you do business.
Yeah, setting those expectations is huge, and really takes a lot of the weight off of our shoulders to lift and to push of like, no, you want to work with me? Here are the terms and conditions, and read those. If you're not happy with those, then it's fine.
It's not a right match.
Yeah, we're not a good match. We have lost clients because they didn't like our cancellation policy. Right, that is something that people did. They didn't like the credit that they would get, or the refund that wasn't. They didn't think it was enough. They wanted to be able to cancel day of and get a full refund. And we went, no, that's not what we do at all. And it's there for reasons, to protect us, to pay for our time that it took to put everything into place, come see you and get everything on the schedule. So no, and if that's what you're expecting, we're not a good fit. And that's helped us breathe a lot easier, I know, in our own business with those policies and procedures. I'm really glad you brought that up, Miguel, because that is a really underutilized resource of freedom that we can use and have in our business.
Yeah, and it saves a lot of time from going through the back and forth, can I do this? Can I do that? Is this allowed? And we just send the policies, they read it and they know everything. And it's like, and I do, and if they have a question on a particular policy, I would, answer whatever questions they may have. But it just makes things so much simpler. Like if you gotta have, and it doesn't cost very much. I mean, you could write up. I got lucky. Like when I wrote up all my policies, I was in college and I was taking a legal documents course, and my professor was a judge. So I took that. I'm like, okay. So we had an assignment where we had to create like an actual legal document, and he was going to grade it to see like if it's, if it can be used in an actual business. So I did one for dog walking, for dog training, for dog boarding. And I gave it to him and I had him grade it. And, he made some corrections. And then after class one day, I brought over all three of them and I said, hey, I'm actually going to use this for my business. Can I use it? And he'll tell me, okay, this is a little ambiguous. You need to make this a little bit clear. And I still use those same, I've added and subtracted some things, but I use those same policies for all my services. I still use them today.
That's cool. And just use your resources that are around you, whether that is a course that you're taking, or whether it's a business group nearby, or a chamber of commerce that has these things. Like there are resources to help put these together. Because I know many times we sit down with a blank page in front of us, and whether that's making content or whether that's making policies, sometimes we go, where do I start? What do I do? And having somebody to take something to is really helpful, and also to make sure, like, hey, is this actually legally binding, or am I just kind of blowing smoke here? Right?
It's true, yeah. And that's what's cool about this business. All types of people own dogs, so I've been able to make connections with people from all types of sectors and industries. So. If I need legal advice, I have a bunch of clients that are lawyers. If I'm, looking to purchase some real estate, I know some great real estate agents. So it's good. It's good to work hard and to do right by people, because then you start to garner these great relationships with people that comes in handy in life.
Yeah. When your business is going and running, and all the ups and downs that are going on there, Miguel, do you have any sort of routines or habits that help you stay grounded through the tumultuous times?
Yeah. So I've learned, especially the last few years, to wake up a little bit earlier than I have to, so I can give myself a couple of hours when I start the day to like take care of myself. So for me, like my faith, and I'm Catholic. I was raised Catholic, so my faith really helps me a lot. Like, so the first hour of my day, I pray and I make sure to give that time to God, and that helps keep me grounded and helps me like prepare me for what's going on in the day. And then from there, I go to the gym for an hour. I get a really good workout in. I eat a hearty breakfast, and then from there it's like, okay, it's go time. Like now I'm ready to go, and I could work my butt off the rest of the day. Because I know I've taken care of myself in like those first couple of hours throughout the day. And from there, I can just give myself fully to my customers and my dogs. And at the end of the day, I'm exhausted. I get a good night's sleep, and I just do the same thing over the next day. So, my faith, it helps me a lot, taking care of my body and my health. It's extremely important. And also, like in the beginning of the day, like just make sure to recognize all the things that you should be grateful for. And that helps me get through the day a lot. It's been huge for me. I recommend it to everyone.
Yeah, taking a few moments. I think that's beyond value. And there's a lot of stuff that we do take for granted. I just before we jumped on, Miguel, I was actually talking to a person who's going to redo our deck. Like that's an actual thing that's happening. And it all started because my dad has been hearing me talk about getting this deck done for a year or more. And he finally was like, whatever. He called the guy and sent him over to my house because I've just been so busy. And we're walking out and the guy said, your dad's a good guy. You're lucky to have him. And he said, because my dad's not in my life and I don't have anybody to have my back. And it was like a sledgehammer to the chest to like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, something so, impactful that I just kind of shrug off some days because, oh yeah, that's just there. And however, thousands of things in our lives do we do that. And when we can sit down, regardless, no matter how the day went and whether it was our quote unquote worst day ever, there are things still to be thankful of and still that are worthy of being acknowledged as being a gift to us, right? Like that exists, and that really helps refocus and reshape us and our mindset.
Absolutely. I learned that during COVID. Because like I said before, prior to COVID, my business was just growing so much and I was burnt out. And I was starting to experience compassion fatigue. And I remember I learned about compassion fatigue in one of your episodes. So you had someone on and they were talking about compassion fatigue. And compassion fatigue is when you're so burnt out, you're so exhausted that the thought of even like, helping other people, like just like pisses you, you get upset and you start to get frustrated with other people because you're just so burnt out and you have nothing left for anyone else. And I was starting to experience that. And then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, like in a matter of 48 hours, I lost about like 90% of my revenue. And, I just bought my house. I just had my daughter. It was extremely stressful time. And I got by it. So now when I get exhausted and I know I'm starting to reach that point where I may be feeling burnt out, I just have so much gratitude. And I think to myself, I'm so lucky to even be burnt out because there are businesses that, I remember when I was dying, I was just looking at my phone, waiting for a customer to call me to request some of my services so I can make some money. So if you're at the point, if you run a business and you are burnt out and you have like all these customers that you can't even fulfill, you're in a good position. So when you have that mentality that I'm lucky to even be burnt out, it helps you handle, the exhaustion and being tired, and you just handle a lot better and you have a lot more gratitude.
Yeah, finding those things that help you recenter, right? Whatever that is, and it's everybody's going to have something that's just a little bit different, but that gratitude is so big to carry that forward in all things and recognize that it might not like this is a gift. Every day waking up is what an immense blessing that alone in and of itself is to us, and to then look around. And every time that ping, because I know we've been there too, when that phone pings and it's another client, they want me to do what? And that attitude, right? They want me to do my, okay, what? No, wow. Thank you, right? Thank you for continuing to trust me. Like that's something that I know we have done in our business of whenever we send a dog, or we're done with it, taking care of a dog, or we're done with a walk, right? We end it with a thank you, letting the client know, hey, thank you for trusting us with this. And because it's like just trying to have this constant reminder of thankfulness and gratitude to what we're being given, and just bathing in that every day, because otherwise it changes our attitude, it changes our heart, and then that impacts everything that we do.
Yeah, that just gave me an idea. Like, I have some customers that have been with me for so many years, and while I do appreciate them, I sent them an email just to let them know how much I appreciate them. So I should be doing that. I think that's a good idea.
It's just something that I recognized in myself whenever I'm tired or angry, or it's at 10 o'clock at night and I get that request, and it's like, oh, I don't want it. Okay, fine. Smile, smile, be thankful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it comes and goes in waves, though, with business during the busy times and slow times, and just trying to keep focused on, we've talked about like the why, like what is this? To what end am I doing this? And that helps refocus everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Very true.
Miguel, I really want to thank you for coming on the show today and walking us through how you help educate your clients and your just community at large, and how you balance that out, running a business, having that personal time for your family, and making sure that you're taking care of yourself too, and everything that's tied up into that. I know that there's a lot that goes into this. So if people are interested in following along, want to be on the lookout for some of your new content, things that you have coming down the pipeline, how best can they do that?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for having me on again. It's always a pleasure talking with you, and it's a delight to see you doing well. You're thriving. I'm happy to see that. And if you have any questions about your dog, or you want to follow some of my content, you could follow me on Instagram. I'm there. I'm City Dog Pack on Instagram, and you could follow me on Substack as well. I have a blog called Everything Dog. And I'm going to be starting a YouTube page soon, and a TikTok page. I'm going to be offering a lot of advice. So if you just follow me on Instagram, I'll keep you updated on all that.
Cool. I will make sure that those links are in the show notes, and especially that Substack, because there's a lot of great articles there. Miguel, I've really enjoyed reading those over the years. So thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm really appreciative of your time.
Thanks, Colin. Take care. God bless.
Miguel's comment of, I'm so lucky to even be burned out, really struck home with me. Megan and I are certainly in a time of our lives of extreme and intense busyness, and it reminded me of another quote that I've often heard of, what a privilege to be tired from the work you prayed for. What a privilege to be overwhelmed by the growth you once dreamed about. These are the life and times of a business owner, of an entrepreneur, especially in the dog walking and pet sitting world, with our ups and our really downs. What we have to do is make sure that we don't start to romanticize the burnout, though. We acknowledge it, we recognize it, and we are thankful and grateful for the busyness and for the growth that we've been working hard for. And then we get busy about the work of reducing the workload on us, building structures and SOPs and policies and procedures, working on the saying no in our lives to balance that out, hiring where we need to, offloading the things that are burdening us. And then we work again about our business and maintaining it and growing it and investing in it. It's that cycle. And that burnout is really key to us understanding where we are and what we need to do to keep moving forward. Burnout is not a place to live forever. It's a place we have to work through sometimes in our business, through the busy seasons, through the tough times, through the hard times, to get to the place that we actually want to be. But the key here, the absolute key focus, is being thankful for what we have before us and recognizing that it could be very different at times, being thankful, and then we continue taking one more step and one more step. We want to thank our sponsors today, Time to Pet and the Peaceful Pet Music, Calm Music for Pets YouTube channel for making this show possible. And we really want to thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll be back again soon.